It's a very lovely afternoon to everyone watching Parliament TV, the station that is dedicated to bringing Parliament closer to you. This afternoon, we focus on the Committee on Cabinet Affairs, and the first witness to make a submission to the committee is the Financial Intelligence Center. And just a reminder that this committee is actually looking at the topic of review the operations of the Financial Intelligence Center. So this is what is about to happen in the Committee of Cabinet Affairs this afternoon. Enjoy watching Parliament TV, as I'll be with you up to the end of the time that we end today's broadcast. My name is Natali Feliris Mate, of course with my sign language interpreters Chola Kaoma and indeed Jason Manda. Enjoy watching Parliament TV.
Welcome, Vic. I wish on behalf of the committee to apologize to you for taking long. We had some internal challenges. I would have called you earlier than this. We apologize for that. You have been invited here. We are looking at the issue of your operations, the operations of your institution. And we've called various witnesses, and now we have you yourselves who are the men and women behind the operations of this institution. But before we dive into the nitty-gritties of our conversation, I would ask you to introduce yourselves. After, I would ask the members to introduce themselves too.
Thank you very much, Director General at the
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Difa Tembo. I'm Head of Compliance and Prevention Department at the Financial Intelligence Center.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Sankara Shubet. I'm Head of Inspections, Financial Intelligence Center. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Members. My name is Chilesha Kalemba, Head of Legal and Policy at the Financial Intelligence Center.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Members. My name is Victor Zimba. I'm Head of Finance at FIC. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Members. My name is Albert Sikapizia, Head of Monitoring and Analysis Department.
Thank you. Members?
Thank you so much, Chair, and good afternoon, witness. My name is Mandant Kalie, Member of Parliament for Sioma constituency. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, witness. I'm Elias Maka Samsonda, Member of Parliament for Chimbamilonga in the Northern Province, and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon. I'm Reverend Given Katuta. I represent the good people of Chieng in Wapla Province. You're welcome, and we hope next time you come with at least 3 ladies in your team.
I'm Peter Piri, Member of Parliament from Kaika constituency.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Members. My name is Namakao Mwanyere from the Office of the Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon. I'm Rachel Mwamba Mhongo from the Office of the Clerk.
Thank you, and my name is Newton Samakai, Member of Parliament for Mwinlunga constituency in the Northwestern Province. I'm sitting in for the substantive chair Is he around? Is he on the? Is not. It's not very sure. Okay. Thank you very much. Like I said, you have been invited here to come and share your insights into the operations of FIC, the institution where you work. At this point, we want to extend the immunity that we enjoy as members of parliament, because when you are discussing matters such as this, it is important that you are protected. But that protection, share the information that you know is factual, and this is under Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. But if you willfully share information that you believe is not factual, then the reverse of Cap 12 will not be able to protect you in that regard. So stand guided that you are here to share with us the information that is factual, that you believe is correct. Having guided you, I think we can start. We have about 30 minutes in which to carry out our conversation. Thank you, sir. We've had your document. We've gone through. I think all you need to do is don't tell us what you do. Just go to the substantive issues that we were asked to submit on, and you just give us a summary. Talk to silent features of your report, and then from there you will have interventions from the members. We should be done within 30 minutes. You can start, sir.
Chair, I would like to thank you and the honorable members for the opportunity to interact with the committee. Chair, given the amount of time that we have to interact, I would just like to take the paper as read. I would like to just say a few things to the committee, maybe to have a better appreciation of the work of the Financial Intelligence Center. What you have, Chair, is an institution that I would say, in terms of value addition to the country, is of very high class. High class in terms of policy recommendations to government which bring value in terms of money. High class in terms of tactical work that we do that helps some of our colleagues, especially law enforcement agents, in assets that are proceeds of crime. High class in terms of identification of hidden that we expose to the Zambia Revenue Authority, and that translates into taxes. Example given, just the last quarter of 2020, we feedback to the center. They had assessed taxes worth 1.5 billion in the quarter, collected tax worth 9. The work that the center does, strategic analysis, has actually come to work by different institutions, local and international, as instruction for work around money laundering. So just to say, Chair, that a lot of what we do, work that we put out in the public, but you have a very good institution that's adding value to the country every day. That said, Chair, the center has challenges which we have itemized in our report, and I think top of which is funding. The $3.5 million funding that we indicate there, about half of it goes to systems. The other half is what we have to use for operations. What that does is we have challenges with space. We operate from a house in a residential area. We are having challenges recruiting staff. We go for interviews and they decline to take up positions because the remuneration is not competitive. We are losing staff to other government agencies. Others are going outside the country, including to offshore financial centers to get better remuneration. The skills that we have in our people are quite good and they are on demand, Chair, to an extent that we can't appropriately remunerate. We are seriously struggling with maintaining staff. So these issues, Chair, in time will constrain the ability of the center to do the work that I have indicated the center is doing at the moment. Chair, we request Parliament to have a very serious look at the appropriation that is given to the center, given the comparators that you have seen there as to what other countries are doing with the FIUs and the amount of work that's going on in our FIU. We also note that Parliament has become interested in this matter of illicit financial flow, and we with your research would like to have some joint together to enhance of this issue and its submit, Chair.
Thank you. Members, any interventions? Yes, please.
Yes, Chair. Chair, I just wanted to find out from the witness. I've checked on page 4. Of course, it's talking to the challenges affecting the FIC's effectiveness, inadequate funding, understaffing, remunerations not being so attractive. I just want to find out when they're doing their budgeting as units, have they been adding this in their in their budget? Witness, as you're aware, is nowadays Parliament does budget analysis before it's presented to the House for adoption. So I wanted to find out if your unit was able to indicate how much it would have wanted to be allocated with, and also budgeting also or forecasting on employing more members of staff. Then the other thing I wanted to find out from I've been asking all the witnesses, Chair, we've been coming here. There's this interagency collaboration using a common platform. We were reliably informed that most of dissemination of information is done manually. So now you want to go digital or something like that. So I wanted just to ask the question. I'm glad that you're here as the boss of FIC. Don't you think there will be compromise in information? Are you going to secure the information properly, or there will be no leakages? As you've said, that such cases are high class. We're not dealing with what we call small people or small amount. So I wanted to find out if you trust that everyone would come on board on this platform will be worth trusting to access the information on this platform. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other? Honorable Msona.
Thank you, Chair. Vic, your mandate doesn't include investigations, arrests, and prosecution. But on the other hand, you have continued to churn out reports which indicate massive, sometimes illicit financial outflows. Now, I wanted to find out from you, because the enforcement agencies don't seem, there's a perception that they don't seem to conclude some of these high-level illicit flows cases. Now, I wanted to find out from you, what would you attribute this seemingly failure to investigate conclusively to bring to account the potential caprice in these illicit financial flows? And secondly, do you, from this standpoint of failure to conclusively bring to account the potential culprits, can you argue a case for FIC being enforced, or being empowered rather, with enforcement powers? Then if so, what would you think would be the advantages or disadvantages of such an arrangement? I thank you, Chair.
Maybe you can respond to those 4 questions.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members, for those questions. Do we include requirements in the budget? Honorable member, yes, we do. Ultimately, I think what is given to the center is a lot less than that which we would have desired. The focusing on the employees, at present, the structure of the center, we need over 60 employees. Chair, we only have just over 30 in post. We have a shortage of about 25. The interagency cooperation, honorable member, yes, we collaborate with our colleagues, not just law enforcement, but also what we call reporting entities, mainly in the private sector. So the nature of cooperation is they send reports of suspicious activity to us, and they show intelligence to law enforcement. Now, the sending of suspicious reports is electronic. Of financial intelligence now have connectivity from receipt, analysis, dissemination of intelligence. Plan for first quarter, so that problem will be resolved. Center, honorable member, you can't investigate nor do prosecution. Now, this is asked previously when the center is no, for reasons this have been confirmed with a lot of staff, thousands, and I'm sure government spends a lot of resources on these institutions. What is to see how to make these institutions more effective than they may be problems. It's resource and ensure what they are, but no, is that there are in fact government reports and has been quite good in this regard. Last year, I just indicated only do then so that fiscus the rest also in this case I mean such
Chair, mine chair is on the staffing levels. We indicate you are operating at now the volume of work actually constitutes your operations at least content 60. What complement in investigations? Thank you.
I just wanted to ask to add regarding having our extra FIC doesn't have, maybe I would say, the teeth to bite, and I wanted to find out from the witness, hasn't this been one of the reasons why they are not so much effective? And the director answered that they are comfortable with the powers that they have. I thought maybe if they were given extra powers, it would enable them to be more efficient, and maybe that's why it has been some delayments. They do the implementation of arresting or prosecuting the would-be offenders, because other witnesses before this committee have indicated that sometimes by the time they want to, like to clone on a culprit, they'll find accounts have even been cleaned up and they can't where the money has gone to. So I wanted to find out from IC, don't they think it will be powers to, such opportunity leakages or losing the losing the crime that they would have closed in the right time. By the time everything is done, the law enforcers are informed the account is already cleaned up. So I wanted to find out why they think they are comfortable with the powers that they have.
Yeah, maybe simplify what is that the days that to freeze the accounts is only 15 days, and the 15 days doesn't seem to be enough because by investigations are concluded, it is swept away from these accounts. Could there be a way to from 15 to some number of these
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Freezing. Chair, the law allows us to freeze action for a period of up to 15 days. Now, we have those powers in the law is to preserve in order to allow undertake an investigation. So law enforcement, such as the drug enforcement, have power. So when order lapses, that of law enforcement, and therefore they have all the time in the world. Where the problem is that reporting entity, for example, a bank, they are sending a report when the money has already. Therefore, even when you are sending the report to law enforcement, that the funds would have already dissipated, and therefore it's not so much about the 15 days, but it is about whether or not value is there at the time we receive the report. When the last financial period, we froze a lot of accounts where the correct value, but this does not happen in all cases, because some of the reports which come, they come at a time where they already have dissipated. In terms of the value chain, again, relating to powers for the FIU, I would like to indicate to the committee that the FIU is only a part of the sector in terms of reporting entities, then the detection, then and those responsible for. Now think about it this way: we are only about 30. There's more than 15,000 police officers whose job is to investigate. There's probably more than 1,000 at the Drug Enforcement Commission whose job is to investigate. Maybe similar numbers with ZRA. And therefore we think there is enough resource to actually do this work. Question is, if there are challenges, those are the ones we need to resolve. And I would suggest, Chair, if you haven't, maybe the committee should look at the whole value chain, invite our colleagues so that they are also able to give you an indication why certain things aren't happening, why certain things we are getting right, why certain things we get. Government has in excess of 20 people in that space. we think things must be able to work the way the committee would expect them to work. If there are challenges, we need to fight with those challenges. I submit, Chair.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, there was a question. Exactly.
Yeah.
We have another 2 questions. Whether adequate. This was subject of a review by Cabinet Office. There are HR professionals that came through to do this study, and this amount for now was found to be adequate. We would be happy, Chair, if additional 25 positions were filled. We think to a significant extent that would be helpful. As a matter of fact, we feel like we are overworking the staff that is there now, and maybe that's why some of them are resigning, Chair, because the workload is huge, the remuneration. Then we have one on delays in dissemination of financial intelligence. Not quite sure what the context is, but dissemination of intelligence purely depends on the complexity of a case, Chair. Some of it, 1 week would be sufficient for us to conclude and disseminate. Some of it would even require up to 6 months. Maybe it has an international aspect, maybe it's organized crime, and it needs a lot of inter-agency cooperation, local and international. So it's a very, very broad spectrum, which is purely dependent on the nature of item at our disposal. I submit, Chair.
You have a follow-up? And then you come in. Yes.
Chair, just on staff, members of staff or people shining to take up positions with this institution. You've lamented about poor remuneration, and then your recommendations, you have gone further to say at least Parliament should do something to ensure that this aspect is improved. So other than the issues of remuneration, what other measures do you think should ensure that we can of brain drain from the institution? What other measures should be implemented other than the aspect of you have indicated should be improved? Thank you, Chair.
Maybe you can take another one. Did you have a question?
Yes, Chair. I think there's somewhere, it's the same question that I asked. Since you've heard the way the FIC is explaining the process, that's why I'm still interested in knowing if they were given extra powers instead of, or maybe to say they incorporate the law enforcers, maybe in FIC, it will not make say the government or the unit to lose the case that is being investigated from the way it's explained, because FIC, by the time it goes the other side, you find that the money has already been the account or the country. So I wanted to find out if they were given extra powers instead of pushing it further. Once they, within the 15, they are maybe prosecute. That's the question I had, Chair.
Yes. Can I add on? I think let me add on the same. Director, I got you when you were responding to the 15 days freezing of the accounts. In the first place, you said it is okay, the time is all right, because the other institutions have the powers to freeze the accounts if they want indefinitely. But again, in your explanations, I think there was a point where you were indicating that sometimes before you even finish, or just at the time you've finished and you are reporting to the other entities, at that point the money is taken away. And this is why there's this observation that perhaps we need to increase the time frame from 15 days, so that we shouldn't leave that space, that room for them to move the money away. I didn't get you clearly.
Thank you, Chair. So the follow-up question, staffing, what conditions? Chair, there's a lot that has to do with staff welfare. I'll give you an example. As head of institution, when I travel outside the country, of service or business, never been, because outside and intelligence unit, there are security issues, there is issues of state, there is a number of conditions of service other than just the salary. Help motivate staff. There is an issue of building space. We are in a house, in a residential area, so for 35 people to share space in a house, it's not as comfortable, so we could do with additional space. In terms of again, and process 15 days. The resources, when we if additional mandates with the kind of resource base that we have, I think the 80,000 investment better placed to do the other bit in the value chain in terms of DEC, anti-corruption, Zambia Police, Zambia Revenue Authority, all these empower these institutions to get. In terms of value preservation and the 15%, maybe was a suspicious transaction report from a bank, for example, saying in the transmit dollars. That money is gone the time we are receiving the report. So the 15 days has not started to count because there is nothing to freeze, because the money has gone, though we have received the report. So we will proceed to process the report to law enforcement and make inquiries with colleagues outside the country to see if value can be withheld there. And in some instances, that has worked, but it's a lot more to do. So in terms of the 15 days, the other difficulty that we have, Chair, we know some countries do it up to 180 days. We would soon also get complaints from business that the entity is stifling business, because when you freeze an account, then that business will not be able to operate. But if we do it for 15 days, we think it's reasonable time for us to conclude whether there are reasonable grounds for us to disseminate the report. So we still adequate. Chair, if you may allow, maybe any one of my colleagues in the entourage could maybe make
yeah, that's fine. You can be helped. That's fine. Yeah.
Chair. For me, I just wanted to go to one of the questions that was asked about the manual dissemination and the system that we have acquired that will enable us to disseminate electronically. And the question was whether we have measures to deal with security around this information so that individuals cannot get hold of this. I should mention that this system that we have acquired is one of the recommended systems. It's called GoML. It has got security features which are quite robust. It's recommended. It's being used by almost over 170 FIUs in GoML. If it is in place, the manual dissemination cannot completely be that can continue. This will make us quickly respond to inquiries that are coming from the law enforcement agencies, but also I should mention that the controls that are in place, and even who we have already started training the people that are going to have rights to this system, and there are all vettings that are taken to ensure that we have credible people. Eliminate everything, but controls are put in place to ensure that this information is protected, being intelligence. To comment on that, Gigi.
Thank you, Chair. So mine was also just a quick intervention on one of the questions that was posed in relation to the adequacy of the legal and policy framework. So to begin with, the framework that the FIC operates in with regard to its legal and policy framework is adequate. However, we just want to quickly mention that with issues such as AML, CFT, meaning issues to do with anti-money laundering, combating terrorism financing, these are never static. So you will note that even from the standards that we draw from, these are the international FATF standards, things change with time. So what this then means is what today is seemingly in place may need an amendment in future. So I thought of just mentioning that so that in future, if amendments are sought from this committee and Parliament at large, it is understood that it's because this platform is not static.
It's dynamic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Then in that regard, we also just wanted to quickly mention that issues to do with virtual assets, whilst we have made mention of them in the Financial Intelligence Center Act, we are aware that other institutions, if I may mention Bank of Zambia, is actually running with that in terms of coming up with directives to put in place what is standing in the international standards as they relate to virtual assets and what we have as a legal provision in Zambia. So we are also just looking forward to that quickly passing, and with that coming to being, I think will then be at par with what is required right now when it comes to recommendation 15 in the FATF standards. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Chair, thank you. I wanted to just extend an explanation on the question that had to do with budget submission. Chair, the budget cycle for government and quasi-government institution begins with submissions of estimates by institutions themselves. They submit these amounts to Ministry of Finance. This is where, Chair, we submit our requests according to the work plans that the center has, reflecting the actual needs. But however, you will note that finally when the ministry considers these inputs, they will give what is called a budget ceiling. And that's what translates into what we now actually do according to the requests that have been given. And that's where the range rises. You find that we will submit 87 million as was the case for 2026. but what was just approved was 42 million. So you can see there's a huge gap, and then if you are given 42, you have to work with that, and then a lot begins to fall out in terms of the activities that were initially intended. So our appeal is that even as this budget comes for debate on the floor of the House, a consideration can be made in terms of what is for an institution like FIC. We meet, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Frick. Thank you very much for this interaction. Maybe at this point, I want to remove the immunity that was given to you. But maybe before I do that, I can have your last comments.
Thank you very much, Chair. We appreciate the opportunity given by the committee to interact with the center. I think our last words are that this opportunity should be availed to other institutions that are in the value chain, so that the committee may be better appreciative of the activities, what is working and what may not be working. Importantly, we have just concluded a report of the National Risk Assessment for Zambia, which is going to Cabinet for consideration. There are issues there that may be helpful for Parliament to appraise themselves with. Then upcoming next year is the mutual evaluation for Zambia, where our AML systems are reviewed for adequacy by the Eastern and Southern African Anti-Money Laundering Group. This is an activity that is important for the country because an adverse report has economic consequences.
Implications, yeah.
Exactly. Chair, thank you once again.
Well, thank you very much. Having concluded your last remarks, you exit the immunity zone.
Thank you very much for still being with us, and I hope that indeed you're enjoying the deliberations as we bring them to you live from here, Parliament buildings. That was the Financial Intelligence Center making a submission to the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. And just a reminder that the Committee on Cabinet Affairs is looking at the review of operations of the Financial Intelligence Center. In a short while, would we expect yet another witness to make a submission to the committee, and this is the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Remember that we have been broadcasting the deliberations in the Committee on Cabinet Affairs from Monday, but just to mention that there are some other committees that are sitting here at Parliament buildings. Like in the afternoon today, we have the Committee on Legal Affairs also sitting. So we just hope that you indeed take some time to listen into our stations, that is Parliament TV and Parliament Radio, just to catch up with deliberations that took place in the other committees that we did not broadcast live. But this afternoon, our attention is on the Committee on Cabinet Affairs. So we're standing by. In a short while, we do expect to receive a submission from the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. Enjoy watching Parliament TV.